Welcome to On Texas Football. I'm Bobby Burton, your host. Gerry Hamilton alongside me. Happy 4th of July to folks. Dakorien Moore, the state's #1 prospect wide receiver out of Duncanville, has assured us that there will be fireworks tonight, Gerry, as we await his decision. The question I had for you at this point is, Dakorien and what we're going to do here is a little bit of a preview of his decision. Big-time receiver, #1 prospect in the state. Official weight, 5'11", 185 or so, 180 pounds. He just had a monster junior campaign for the state champ Duncanville Panthers. 69 catches, 1,486 yards, 18 touchdowns. 69 catches, and this is impressive. 21 and a half yards a clip. That's a lot of catches to have that many yards per catch. Why, before we go into who he's deciding between, which includes Texas, Gerry, why are people so enthralled with this player beyond just the stats that they may see?
I think, look, he plays for the program that has the most talent in Texas. They've won the last 2 state titles. He's in DFW along I-20. They play DeSoto. They play the toughest competition. He's put it on the board. He was a rare guy that was on varsity as a freshman at Duncanville High. He's coming right behind Colin Simmons, who was a 5-star edge prospect, who was a Texas LSU battle. Dakorien Moore was committed to LSU because he loved Odell Beckham, backed off that. Now he's coming down to what we believe is Texas or Oregon. He's just got that. And then look, Bobby, one, he's ranked high. 2, then he goes out on the track this spring and runs 10.4. Long jumps 24 feet, goes to state in 4 events, a couple of relays. So the tape is great. And look, he makes 50-50 ball plays. I actually think he's a complete wide receiver at a young age. Meaning, does that mean he's perfect and everything? No. But complete in that he's good on short routes, intermediate routes, vertical routes you see there. He can make people miss after the catch. He can go win a 50-50 ball. He's physical. He's kind of got it all as a wide receiver. So you look at him and say, he's just better than everybody else. He moves different than everybody. I mean, these moves he's putting on people, that's Cedar Hill. They lost in the regional finals last year. These are games against DeSoto, just the teams they're playing. So he's putting it on the board with thousands of people in the stands, the biggest crowds you get in Texas high school football. He's at the marquee program right now. And he's a guy that was committed to LSU. He visited Ohio State. He visited Oregon, visited LSU, visited Texas. It's a national recruitment, #1 receiver in the country. He's at Duncanville. And after he made the early commitment to LSU, I think that even heightened that recruitment even more. Then when he decommitted, Texas fans have been pretty confident since that point in time because it looked like it just followed the Colin Simmons path. So I think you add all of it up and you have a guy that is kind of the must-get recruit for a lot of fans in this class.
All right. So that kind of sets the stage for just why everybody thinks he's so good. And really, he is a tremendous prospect. Let's now talk about the teams he's considering. And while we think it's really down to Texas and Oregon, Gerry, he also visited LSU and Ohio State. And those 2 teams, like you said, he was previously committed to LSU. Ohio State has a tremendous tradition at wide receiver of late. And then Texas and what they've done with Steve Sarkisian at wide receiver with both Xavier Worthy and Adonai Mitchell going early in last year's draft. His history at Alabama, having 4 first-rounders there. And then you add Oregon to the mix. Oregon is, the interesting thing about Oregon that I would add is they just got Evan Stewart, a young man that's originally out of the Frisco area that signed with A&M, but he moved over there in the portal. So this could be another DFW type guy for them. Let's just go one by one and tell me why you think he goes to this school and why you think maybe he doesn't. I'm going to start with LSU. Why do you think he would go to LSU, and why do you think he doesn't?
Well, I think why he would have gone to LSU already happened. He loved Odell Beckham Jr. That was his idol, his favorite receiver. First time I ever went to Duncanville, and I asked him, I said, "Who is your guy? Who is your favorite player?" And he said, "Odell Beckham Jr." And that always stayed in the back of my mind. Then he commits to LSU, so I think he got that out of his system. I don't think he's going to go to LSU because I think he's already committed there, backed off of that. And then his recruitment's different. The way he's looking at his recruitment is different now. It's not about a 2025 quarterback going to a school. It's not about, oh, my favorite player played there. It's him sitting back and saying, where do I really want to be? And why do I want to be at this school? So I think it would be, for me, it would be an upset if LSU was the pick.
Got it. Okay. And so you don't think he's going to LSU, and that's the reason why, is because things have just changed fundamentally. What about Ohio State? Strong tradition of receivers. Brian Hartline, the wide receivers coach there, has done a tremendous job, obviously. Your thoughts there?
I think when he first went up to Ohio State, that was the school that I think kind of opened his eyes, because LSU was about Odell Beckham Jr. And still close enough to him. But when he went to Ohio State, I really think that opened his eyes, Bobby, from a national standpoint of, wow, okay, I could actually envision myself playing here. Do I love the weather? I don't know. Do I respect the Brian Hartline, what they've done at receiver? Yeah, absolutely. But I just think that was that big stage. What's happened at wide receivers, Garrett Wilson, some of those guys too from Texas, Jackson Smith, Jigba, helps. But I think he could envision himself playing at Ohio State early on. I think the official visit, I think they did a great job. I think that the one thing about that is, now taking a step back in the recruiting process, he could get all those same things playing in Austin at Texas. So I think that hurt Ohio State a little bit. Xavier Worthy, A.D. Mitchell, the offense, Steve Sarkisian, the quarterback room at Texas being the older guys, the guys who would actually be throwing you the football, Arch Manning namely. I think all those things maybe eclipsed Ohio State because they're also closer to home in that regard.
Gotcha. All right, let's go next to Oregon. So Oregon has made this big charge. A lot of people think they've gone NIL crazy, and maybe they have. Maybe they have. Where's your thoughts on why he might pick Oregon?
I think offense. I think they do a good job getting the ball to the playmakers. I think that Oregon, one thing I was told about the visit to Oregon, they may have had the best, not may have, I was told they had the best presentation for Dakorien of anybody, any school he visited officially. That was somebody close to the recruitment said that. So they really impressed they got him to make the visit. Then when they got him there, the presentation, the football, the wide receiver position, the university, all of it. I don't think Oregon missed anything in terms of with Dakorien or his immediate family that was on campus for that visit. So I think they may have had the best visit outside of the family part of the visit to Texas. So I think Dan Lanning also recruits extremely hard as a head coach, rivals Steve Sarkisian in effort, head coach effort recruiting, where I think sometimes more it's position coach, maybe a combination of those things. But I think Dan Lanning is recruiting at a head coach position as hard as Steve Sarkisian is. And that's not a knock on Sark, that's a compliment to both of those guys. So I think Oregon has put their best foot forward. And I think that they have presented a compelling argument for Dakorien Moore.
Is there a reason why? I mean, a lot of people would say, man, Oregon is hard to get to. And
I think that's the main thing. I think that's the main thing. I mean, if you look at how many family members were in Austin for his visit, how many of those family members are actually going to be able to go to every game in Eugene? I think at the end of the day, that's the thing that would hurt Oregon, to be able to tell all those family members, you know what, I love y'all. And I really appreciate y'all being in Austin for the visit. And I know grandma lives there, and I know a lot of people live in Dallas or Austin, but Oregon's just where I want to be. That'd be a pretty big step, but I don't know. That would be the reason he doesn't go to Oregon.
Got it. All right, next piece. Obviously, the one that most people are interested in, Why or why not Texas for Dakorien Moore?
I think the why for Texas is pretty easy. It's the family. The mom's from Austin. Everybody's seen the pictures from the official visit at Texas. So many people in the family that they want Dakorien to be happy, but they also want to see him play, and that's much easier in Austin. Then you have the offensive scheme, receivers being drafted, the quarterback position with Arch Manning. I was told he was at the regional track meet the day of the Texas spring game. He since went back and watched the Texas spring game and really studied Arch and even Trey Owens. So he's done his homework on the Texas quarterbacks, on Arch, the wide receiver position. Look, Isaiah Bond probably goes pro after this year. You could make an argument, well, Silas Bolden will be gone. You could make an argument that Matthew Golden may go pro. So some people say, well, it's maybe easier for him at Oregon because Evan Stewart will go pro. Well, Texas is going to lose guys, too, to the NFL draft or the portal or both. It's going to happen. So guys that are as talented as he is, they're going to pick a school thinking they're going to go in and compete for a starting job there anyways. So I think that all those things are pros for Texas. The one reason he wouldn't go to Texas for me, it's just not where he wants to be.
Interesting.
He thinks there's a school that he just wants to be at more than Texas.
Yeah. Here's my take on this a little bit is of all these teams that you're talking about, Arch Manning is the best quarterback of that group that is going to be throwing the ball to him when he arrives on campus. Dylan Gabriel will be gone. Dante Moore did not look very good as a freshman at UCLA. Let's be honest. Austin Nova said out of Dripping Springs is a quarterback that could be good, but we haven't seen him under true fire either. And then you look at Ohio State, if they have some really good young quarterbacks, but I don't think they're as good as Arch Manning. And then you even look at LSU, same could be said there. I think that the thing that I believe Texas has strongly going for him, if he wants an elite quarterback for sure throwing to him, I think that's going to be Arch Manning. So I think that's a piece of it. Let me ask you a little bit about this. What are the thoughts that if he commits to Oregon, if he commits to Texas, this recruitment's still not over? You buy that? I mean,
no.
You don't buy that at all?
No. He's already been through this once where they made an emotional commitment to LSU, backed out of that at the end of the day. I think he's taken a different approach to this recruitment. Is anything 100%? We can't say that. Is it 99.9999? Yeah, I do think so. Because I think, look, he either makes a decision that, you know what, I get it. My family is in Austin. I have so many family members. Steve Sarkisian has a great offense. Arch Manning has a chance to be a really good quarterback. Texas in the SEC. Remember, he's already committed to SEC school once. Texas in the SEC. There's so many positives for Texas that I don't see him picking that and then saying, you know, I may have made a mistake once again. I don't see that. If he were to pick Oregon, or let's just off the low percentage chance, Ohio State, that's him saying, I just can't see myself in Austin. I want to get away and do something different. That's a pretty big step to take and then walk that back on your second commitment. Because I think he's thought through this process, this go round. I think he got the emotional decision out of the way the first time, and this has been a very thoughtful process the second time.
Interesting. And I think there are people out there saying, oh, well, Texas doesn't care where he commits in July. It's all about what he does in December. Here's my take on that. Both can be true. Right. You know, it is all about what he does eventually in December. That doesn't mean that what he does in July doesn't matter. Look, the proclivity of most top-ranked players is to stay with the schools that they pick. It's not abnormal for them to decommit, but it's not normal either. It doesn't happen every single time. So you're already batting from behind a little bit there is my point.
And let's add this in. Reginald Sample's kids at Duncanville don't take senior year trips very often. I mean, Colin Simmons was committed to Texas. He showed up at a Texas game. By the way, Dakorien Moore is with him, right? But this decision, the signing days also moved up to December 4th. He's a midterm graduate. It's not like there's a lot of time after this. Duncanville's expected to play 16 games and play for a state title once again. That's why the family wants this decision done and final before his senior season.
Got it. Yeah, it makes sense in a lot of ways there, because I feel like you mentioned Reginald Samples, his dad, the head coach at Duncanville.
Right.
Rashad Samples is on staff at Oregon. His son, Rashad, is the running backs coach at Oregon. And so there's a tie there that you might think is one that's worth watching as well. But it'll be interesting, because I believe right now it's Texas and Oregon is my intel at this point in time, Jerry. But I don't know for sure one way or the other.
The other thing I would say, Bob,
is wrong. Yeah.
The other thing I would say is, look, kids go against the grain all the time. He'd be going against the grain of Colin Simmons, who went to SEC, Caden Durham, who went to LSU, SEC. His quarterback, Keelan Russell, flipped from SMU to Alabama, SEC. He'd be going against the grain to not go to Texas later today, because all those other guys went SEC. That's, again, would tell me, if he went with, say, Oregon, that would tell you that's really the place this kid wants to be.
Yeah.
Because all the talk is SEC. Colin's like, come play with me. All his boys are going to the SEC to play in the SEC. There's a heavy SEC presence. That would really, truly be in Dakorien saying, that's the place for me.
Do you think that there's a possibility that, like, a team like Oregon is just saying, hey, just commit for the NIL, and you can actually do something else different later? Does that strike you as a little odd?
I would be surprised if that's the way this went down. I've been wrong before, and we are talking about the NIL era. But I just think what the way they've already been through this process with a commitment, decommitment once, I just would be surprised if it plays out that way. And I've been wrong before, but that would surprise me based on what transpired previously in this recruitment and what the person I've been talking to has told me.
What do you think right now, Jerry?
But Bobby, things change. A coach could leave. If he commits to Oregon and the Florida job opens, all bets are off, right? You just don't know. So there's always that caveat. There's always that percentage chance if he goes somewhere else. But I'd be a little surprised in this recruitment.
Do you have a specific percentage you want to give this? It sounds to me, just from listening to you and listening to some people that I speak to close to this recruitment, it sounds like it's 50-50 Texas and Oregon. You agree with that right now?
I think Texas is a little more confident than that. But, I mean, it's pretty simple. If it's a understanding the family decision, because the football piece is there with Texas. Quarterback is there with Texas. They're in the SEC. If all that, it's all there. If the family piece is really a driving force, then the pick's going to be Texas.
Got it. All right.
I mean, you go back and you look at the official visit and all the people in that photo. There's obviously a lot of people pushing Texas. They want to see him stay close to home. So that would be very much of a man decision at a young age to tell all those people, it's just not the place for me, man.
Got it. All right. I tell you what, Jerry, that's going to do it for the preview of Dakorien Moore. I think we got an understanding deep into his recruitment of all the ins and outs of it. So, all right, for Gerry Hamilton, I'm Bobby Burton. We'll be back tonight with Dakorien Moore's decision, expected at 8 p.m. Tonight on July 4th. For Gerry Hamilton, I'm Bobby Burton. Dakorien Moore, we'll see what happens, man. Hook 'em.